There's a secret to getting insanely strong that is literally the one thing standing between you and having your dream body. Most people get so caught up in the details of their training routine that they completely miss this, whereas in reality, once you get this one thing right, all the details of your training program simply pale into insignificance. When we first started developing this 40 minutes a week max intensity training method that I use now and have for the past several years to get all the results you see, I was stuck in this mindset of listening to all the research and trying to have the perfectly structured routine based on scientific best practice, sets, reps, tempo, weekly volume, frequency, thinking that'd get me results. But as I started experimenting with adapting the difficulty of my movements to my maximum strength and always training there across full range of motion, I realized all of that started to go out the window because all the research and best practice that we have today isn't based on that sort of training. It's based on the limits of traditional training where the difficulty, the resistance that you're working against is fixed across the range of motion, across the set, like doing a bench press that's 70 kilos. Stays 70 kilos for the whole set. Whereas once we start adapting the difficulty to match our strength, none of those numbers apply anymore. And as we started testing this, I had this intuitive feeling that if you're constantly working as hard as possible, you can probably get away with less. And every time we cut down from 3 sets a week of 10 reps to 2 sets a week to 1 set, I realized that every time I reduced the amount I had to do for the week, I was able to go so much harder, work at such a higher intensity, and I started getting faster results. Trying to hit more reps was just getting in the way of me doing the one thing that mattered, which was working at my limit, pushing my maximum level of strength, using every bit of strength I currently had, because that is the work ultimately, regardless of how you train and how you program things. It's that maximum intensity work that actually signals your body to build muscle tissue and grow stronger, because its limits are being exceeded and it needs to adapt to those demands. Once I saw this reduction in total volume starting to work, I just kept going to the logical conclusion, which is 1 set per week, training constantly at max intensity, basically until I'd had enough. This is the method that we now use today, which with various testing across a lot of people ends up being about 2 or 3 minutes of work per movement for the week, which across 6 strength movements with rest ends up being about 40 minutes of weekly work. The message here is that with your strength training, it's not about the quantity and it's not about the details of your programming. It's about the quality of your training. Once you are actually going as heavy as possible and truly pushing the limit of your strength, then you can do as much volume as you want. Do the amount that feels right. Quit once it's not fun anymore. But I can tell you right now that no amount of fancy programming and sophisticated planning is going to make up for low intensity work. Training that's any less than your max is just not going to get you the results you want for your effort.